Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Thank you for the committee for giving me the opportunity to present my research. And allow me to introduce myself. My name is NENI MARLINA. I am from Universitas Siliwangi, Tasikmalaya, West Java, Indonesia. And today I would like to present my research entitled Eliciting the Students' Motivation and Engagement in Online Learning, Voices from Grammar Class. Let's start the presentation. All right. My background of the study, this research based on the situation of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has hit all levels of education, from lower level into the higher levels of education, in which that we are forced to be adaptable with the technology-mediated learning. We have to integrate the teaching learning process with the technology and with several online learning platforms in one's meeting, for example. And this, of course, has provided some challenges for us as teachers and then students, and then also give impacts on the students' motivation and engagement in learning process. So why it becomes my focus of this research, that eliciting students' motivation and engagement in online grammar class is important, because I believe that the two aspects, motivation and engagement, have great contributions on the students' learning success. And why it is conducted in grammar class, because I teach grammar subject. So I experience about how this pandemic has changed me has changed my education, my teaching process from offline learning into online learning. And the definitions of motivation and engagement I propose from Oxford Dictionary 2013. It is the desire or willingness to do something. And further, Martin in 2017 said that motivation refers to an individual inclination, energy, direction, and drive with respect to learning and achievement. And engagement, I propose from Martin 2017, it is the behaviors following from the energy, drive, interest, and inclination. Further, he said that it is as a learner's responses to learning environments, less a psychological construct and more as a description of the learner's connection to the learning achievement. It can be concluded that engagement is the reflections of the student's motivation. So why are these important? Because motivation can lead the learners to engage during the learning process. So if the students do not have motivation, so they will not engage in the learning process. So the engagement is important, because if the students do not have or do not possess the learning engagement, so they will not have desire to learn. If the students don't have no desire to learn, so the learning achievement could not be reached. And to investigate the students' motivation and engagement, I use motivation and engagement wheel from Martin 2003, consisting of 4 aspects. Positive motivation, positive engagement, negative motivation, and negative engagement. And to conduct the research, so I use case study because it is appropriate based on the phenomena occurred in the field. And I investigated 20 participants or 20 students who enrolled grammar in written discourse class in English education department. This subject or this course focuses on how grammar works in the written context, because we know that grammar will be different in the written and also in spoken context. So this subject focuses only on the written context. And then to collect the data, I used semi-structured interview. There are two types of interview I used during collecting the data. The first one is written interview, and then the second one is oral interview. So these are conducted because I have the limitations with the time and then also the place. As we know that we are in the pandemic situation that force us to have what is it a more effective data collection. And then the next one, for analyzing the data, I use thematic analysis, which consists of 6 processes, from familiarizing the data until what is it producing the reports. And from the data analysis process, I got 2 big themes dealing with the adaptive motivation and engagement and maladaptive motivation and engagement. Exactly, I couldn't find from the data I have the maladaptive engagement. So I only found maladaptive motivation from the data interview. And we can see that adaptive motivation and engagement consisting of several aspects, for example, self-belief and valuing. So these are categorized into adaptive motivation, and then persistence and task management. These are categorized into adaptive engagement. Meanwhile, maladaptive motivations are reflected through the students' anxiety and their failure avoidance. And we can see the data here that shows the students' belief during the learning grammar in online class. So we can see that students' belief or self-belief is the students' belief and confidence in their ability to understand or to do well in schoolwork, to meet challenges they face, and to perform to the best of their ability. We can see that the students said that when learning grammar by using Jamboard, I could practice making English sentences online and got feedback directly from the lecturer and friends, and practicing and get used to distinguishing the sentence elements. I think it is really useful activities because we can compare and distinguish our writing with others and improve our understanding and ability to write properly. So this situation or these activities have made the students feel confidence in expressing or in practicing the grammar. Because why? Because the teacher and then the students can give feedback on the students' writing directly, because it is shown directly by all of the classroom. And the next one is about valuing. So valuing means the extent to which students believe what they learned at school is useful, relevant, meaningful, and important. And this data shows that the students think that or believe that learning grammar is very fundamental for them, because they would like to be an English teacher. So they have to know the basic grammar, how the language is formed in the appropriate structures. We can see due to the grammar as the basic knowledge in English, and I would say if it is fundamental knowledge that should be mastered by the students as the candidate of English teacher. I like learning grammar because it's so fun and challenging, especially when in a virtual meeting, I could listen to the lecturer's explanation, making small group discussion in breakout rooms, doing live exercise using quizzes and so on. And the activities helped me a lot in understanding grammar. So from the data, we can see that the students experience learning grammar through several online platforms. And of course, this is very helpful for them, and then also the teachers to facilitate them to learn and to practice learning grammar. And of course, we can see that there are some collaborative projects that the students do. For example, in group discussion and breakout rooms, they have to analyze together with their groups, or even though they have to write collaboratively, and then they can give feedback and review from one another. The next one, we talk about the persistence. So persistence is a kind of students' adaptive engagement. Persistence in learning is shown by the learners when they keep trying to work out on answers and to understand a problem, even if the problem is difficult or challenging. So here, the students express that they experience some challenges, some challenging activities, or even some challenging materials for them to understand. But they try to give effort to understand the materials or to get more comprehension. And then the task management. The task management also reflects from the it is reflected from the students' engagement. It refers to how students use their study or homework time, organize a study or homework timetable, and choose and arrange where they study or do homework. And from the data I have here, the students said that I sometimes experience poor connection when doing synchronous meeting. So I really want to join the class in order to comprehend the materials. So I looked for the best spot for getting good connection. And also I read and read again the material shared by the lecturer and shared some explanation, search some explanation from the internet. From this activity, we can see that the students try to manage how to get good comprehensions in the learning grammar through asking their friends, for example, and then read again the materials that has already been shared, or find out some further resources from the internet. So those activities, we can see from the students' data that the students experience learning process through collaborative learning or individual learning through online, several online platforms. And these are very beneficial for them to get or to motivate and make the students engage in the classroom. Donaldson and Bucci states in project in which students collaboratively produce artifacts intended for public audiences, higher levels of engagement may be anticipated. So we can see from the data that the students shows their motivation and engagement during the learning process in online learning through several online learning platforms such as Quizzes, Zoom meeting, and so on. And Abu Hasna and Yahaya in 2018 said that the current technologies in education played an essential role in providing full online learning experience, which is close enough to face-to-face class in spite of physical separation of the students from their educator, along with other students. So we can see that the students can work collaboratively, for example, in Zoom meeting through breakout rooms, or they can have the discussion outside of the synchronous meeting, so they can have more discussion during the learning process. So this situation or these online platforms can facilitate the students to have connection with with their friends easier. And from the maladaptive motivation, I could find the students' anxiety, and then of course failure avoidance from the data I have. The first is anxiety. So the anxiety refers to worrying and feeling nervous. Worrying is their fear about not doing very well in schoolwork, assignment, or test. And meanwhile, feeling nervous is the uneasy or sick feeling students get when they think about or do their schoolwork, assignment, or test. And we can see from the data here, the student said that I sometimes felt nervous when learning grammar because I am not good at grammar. It seems grammar is very confusing for me. I am also afraid of being asked and had to answer the English in English for my grammar competence. So the students can show that the students showed that he was anxious about the learning process because of afraid of being asked and because of they afraid of how to answer the questions. And then the second one is failure avoidance. So it refers to the fear of the failure. The students have fear to be failure in the learning process. For example, the student stated that when implementing Jamboard during the class, I felt afraid of making mistakes in my writing. It's a shame for me if I made mistake because my friends could see my capability in grammar. So the students feel afraid of being failure in the process of learning. So we can see that from the two aspects of maladaptive motivation. So we have to try to find out some appropriate strategy for helping them to learn better and effective, because we can see from Eng et al. 2020 that higher anxiety will negatively affect the academic engagement. So if we avoid the students' anxiety during the learning process, so it can give impact on the students' learning engagement. And then failure not only negatively reflects on their academic skill set, but also on their worth as the person. And we go to the conclusions that the findings indicate that the learners' grammar learning experience through online platforms emerge their adaptive motivation and engagement to learn, as well as maladaptive motivation and also engagement. And learners' adaptive motivation and engagement that I can found here is expressed through their self-belief, value, persistence, and also their task management. Meanwhile, learners' maladaptive motivation and engagement can be reflected from the students' anxiety and failure avoidance. So by knowing about the students' adaptive motivation and engagement and also maladaptive motivation and engagement, so we are recommended to facilitate the learners with the more meaningful activities with the appropriate pedagogical strategies that can help the students learn better, learn effectively, and learn meaningfully. So that's all from me, and thank you very much. See you again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.